unhinged and dangerous. Explain why you believe, first of all, they're dangerous.
Well, listen, I have learned to ignore a lot of the noise coming out of the White House because we need to do our jobs. Republicans and Democrats, we need to work together. I've had good communication with Mike Pence, for instance. But this is just grossly irresponsible, and it is dangerously bombastic because it inspires people to do dangerous things. And it is a dangerous thing today to go out and congregate. It is a dangerous thing to ignore the orders that yesterday Donald Trump put out guidelines now need to follow. And today he came out and basically said people should not follow his own guidelines. Let me give you an example of this. So he put out guidelines yesterday that would suggest that the 3 states that he now wants, quote, liberated, can't remove their social distancing because we still have too much infection in those states, as we do in our state. And yet today, he comes out with this ludicrous position that we should turn around and ignore the guidelines that Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx and the whole federal government and Republicans and Democrats know is good policy to save lives in this state. So yes, it is dangerous, and we can countenance a lot of foolishness coming out of this White House, but not this. It is too dangerous to the health, and I've lost over 500 citizens already in my state. We cannot allow this to stand.
So how do you reconcile the president's tone yesterday when he said you and your fellow governors should call the shots, even though a few days earlier he was saying he had total authority to make all decisions? How do you reconcile the tone from yesterday and these tweets today?
I'm not a psychologist, so I can't reconcile them. A few days ago, he said that he had total control of the United States, that whatever the president did, they essentially had the president right to do, and he was going to order us what to do in our states. Both Republican governors and Democrats pointed to a document called the Constitution, and he essentially backed off the next day and said, no, the governors will call the shots. The following day, he went out and put on guidelines that were fairly realistic, and we appreciate Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx. We appreciate those guidelines. They're fairly consistent with what we think needs to happen, which is that when we've driven down these infection rates far enough, and when we get enough testing, we can reopen our economy. We're looking forward to that. But the following day today, he goes out and basically attacks the governors who are implementing his own guidelines that he gave an imprimatur to yesterday. So there are some things you cannot reconcile. You have to stand against them. And as I've said, we've had a good working relationship with a lot of people in the administration. Admiral Polachek trying to get us more test kits. We appreciate that work. But when all that good work of federal employees then gets stepped on by the president, which is essentially trying to pull the rope backwards, that we cannot abide. And this is a very unfortunate replay of what happened in the first weeks of this, when the president, for his own purposes, tried to downplay the seriousness of this disease. That cost us. It cost us probably a month in our national preparation. As we're coming out of this, we can't have that happen again.
The Virginia governor, Ralph Northam, whose state was the subject of one of the president's angry tweets today, had this to say. Listen to this.
I would just simply say that as the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, I, along with this staff, is fighting a biological war. I do not have time to involve myself in Twitter wars. I will continue to make sure that I do everything that I can to keep Virginians safe and to save lives.
You believe the president's priorities are the same?
I have no idea what goes on in that space. All I know is it's injurious to the health of my citizens and citizens across the state. And it is not just Democratic governors who are injured by this. You look at Mike DeWine, Republican governor of Ohio. He's been an absolute hero on this. He's done some really courageous things to try to help save his state from this effort. Larry Hogan has done good things in his state. Their efforts are demeaned when the president essentially is trying to tell people that we should just all go back and party like it's 2015. And that's just too dangerous right now. And it also stands in the face of his own experts and his own plan. So that's why we need to band together, Republicans and Democrats, and do the right thing here.
In the last hour, I spoke to one of the scientists behind the new leading coronavirus model, and he cited your state's early action as why Washington State will be one of the states that can potentially open up sooner than most. What will that process of reopening Washington State look like for you?
Well, we are looking forward to when we achieve two achievements. Number one, that we drive the infection numbers down low enough that we are confident they won't just spring back. Now, we've driven the curve down, but we still are not on the downslope of any significant amount. We're sort of plateaued. So we are eagerly awaiting the day when we really start to drive the daily fatalities and infections down to a manageable level. But the second thing we have to have in place when that happens is a very robust screening program, a testing protocol, and a contact tracing army. We need to make it sort of like the fire brigades. If there's a fire in your house, you call the fire department, they come right away and take care of you. We need the same type of system to make sure that when we get little pockets of infection, we can jump on them right away and prevent them from spreading in the weeks and months to come. So we need those two conditions to exist. We're working diligently to try to get the test kits that are still in extremely short supply, and that's one of the reasons why we've encouraged the federal government to be more proactive, trying to manufacture these test kits so we can get enough tests. We still are in short supply across the United States. Republican and Democrat governors will tell you that.
Well, on that issue, we've learned today that the Vice President, Mike Pence, offered no clear answers on testing during a rather angry phone conversations he had with a bunch of Senate Democrats. Maine's independent Senator Angus King, who caucuses with the Democrats, he said this, and I'm quoting him. He said, "I have never been so mad about a phone call in my life." How concerned are you, Governor, that the administration doesn't have a clear plan in place right now to get all the testing around the country that you and your fellow governors and everyone seems to need so badly?
I'm extremely concerned because I'll give you an example. We have, dozens of long-term care facilities, and until just the last couple of days have had difficulty having enough test kits to actually test people where they need to be tested. And as we're going forward, we know we are actually going to have an increased number of demands for tests, not just decreased as people go back into these more exposed